Welcome to the very first episode of this untitled channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Iron 883. So the reason why I chose the Iron 883 is because I've heard that could be a good beginner bike, and being a beginner myself, I wanted to put that challenge to the test. And I have to say, this bike is scary and is not for the beginner, and here's why. If you want to learn how to transition through turns better, let's say through S-curves or anything of the sort, this bike was actually made to cruise, not made to transition, which is why it's not that good to bring this to the mountains. So despite the fact that this bike has two shocks in the rear of the bike, it does not do anything. It pounds your butt as you're going through the bumps, and that really hurts. That does not inspire confidence in a beginner rider, at least in my experience. Now I will say this is not my first Harley-Davidson, as I've previously rode one before and I kind of knew what to expect. The previous one was a Street 500, whereas this one is the Iron 883, bigger engine, bigger bike, and supposedly better features as opposed to the beginner bike of the 500. However, I do want to say that I much prefer that 500 over this. It's more nimble than the 883. And a little bit about the power. The spec sheets say that there's only, I think, about 49 horsepower, but it's the torque that matters, and the torque for this bike, I believe it's around 52. However, when you punch it, this bike goes, and if you're not ready, especially as a beginner rider, you can get caught off guard, and you don't want to whiskey throttle yourself off the road. I will say the ergonomics are pretty nice. Aside from the mid-mountain controls, the handlebars you don't actually have to bend over that much for. Well, I will say that with an extremely torquey bike, being that there's only one brake rotor on the front of this bike, the brakes bite pretty hard, and I did not expect that, because in the 500 it took a while for the bike to slow down, versus this one it really wanted to stop quickly. And on the way up here I didn't have to use my rear brakes as much, only when I was going downhill on a turn. Okay, and so this is what the bike sounds like when you start it up. Notice that the key is actually on the side of the bike, not on the top as most other bikes. Very interesting. And let's okay, to neutral. There we go.
So here are my final thoughts on the Iron 883. So I learned my lesson to never expect too much out of cruiser bikes on mountain passes. Highway riding to and from was just as brutal, and potholes were magnified due to the rear suspension. Prospective riders definitely need an iron tailbone and spine to endure the jolts from the imperfections of the road. Beginner riders need to stay away from the 883 if they're looking to gain more confidence leaning, navigating tight turns, and generally wanting a bike that isn't overpowering to the senses. A beginner may find scraping pegs while leaning to be unnerving. The 883 is definitely a head turner for cruising, though beginners should concern themselves more with learning how to handle a motorcycle well versus just trying to look good. If anything, the first bike you own or rent should not be the Iron 883. If you don't care about learning every aspect of technical motor skills and just really want a beginner cruiser, look to the Harley-Davidson Street 500, Honda Rebel 500, or the Kawasaki Vulcan S. Let me know if you liked the video, as this is my first one. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd really like to hear whether or not you agree with my assessment. I'll be posting more videos as I gain access to more bikes, so feel free to subscribe in the meantime. Thanks for watching.